Got it. So just to remind everybody, you will be on camera and on everything you say, Ken will be used against you. I'm just kidding. So if somebody does want to watch, I don't think we're transcribing it anymore, but if somebody wants to watch it, they're able to. So, but sorry, I had the screenshot. So I will remind you, I don't know if, I guess if you're speaking and they're watching the video, they'll know who you are. The last time we used to say who we were. You still may want to do that for the people who don't know everybody yet. We have a couple new people. So I guess the first thing is we'll need as a motion. I don't know if everybody's gotten the minutes from January 20th.
Well, first, I wanted to say this is the meeting of the Manhasset Bay Protection Committee of March 24th, 2022. And do we want to go around? And
yes, we do. I forgot introduction. So I'll start. I'm Bob Keene. I'm with Port Washington North. I'm the chairman.
I'm Nora Hagenson. I'm the mayor of the Village of Baxter Estates.
And Nora, your video has moved.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that.
Okay.
I'm Mike Malloy, Baxter Estates.
I don't know what happened to
I'm Jill Monison, Village of Thomaston.
Dan Fucci, Nassau County.
Diane
Kevin Braun,
Sheehan,
Town of North Hempstead.
Diane Sheehan, Village of Plandome Heights.
Tom Lang, Village of Plandome Manor.
Annie Mendelson, Village of Great Neck.
Kim and John Kaiserman, we're from the Baxter's Pond Foundation and we're here to observe.
Samantha Wilder, intern.
I'm going to get out. Sarah, I'm going to get out of this and try and get back in.
Okay. All right. I'm Sarah Dionarine, Executive Director of Manhasset Bay Protection Committee.
Did we get everybody who's here to introduce themselves?
Oh, I apologize. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Oh, okay. My name is Megan Kelly. I'm the village clerk treasurer for Baxter Estates.
She's brand new. This is your
Yeah.
first.
Welcome.
Baxter's like showing up with some serious firepower here tonight.
Yeah.
To watch ourselves. All right. So we're good with introductions. I remind everybody that we are on tape. And the first point of business would be to get a motion to adopt the minutes from January 20th.
This is Kevin from the Town of North Hempstead. I make a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from January, whatever you said, Bob. I'm sorry.
20th.
January 20th, 2022.
Diane Sheehan seconds it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Oppose? See none, abstain. All right, that motion carries. Diane, are you going to get your name in as many times as you can tonight?
You bet, at least 3. Beginning, middle, and end.
As I don't know if everybody heard or not, but tonight will be Diane's last meeting. So obviously we'll wait till the end, but I don't know how long you've been here, but thank you. So we'll come back to that.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, so I guess the next thing on the agenda is water quality sampling for this summer. Usually we get a motion to approve the sampling supplies and everything else that goes with that, calibration equipment, so that we can sample during the summer months. I don't know if you want to ask questions about it now or make the motion and ask questions as I go.
This motion is just to cover pretty much just calibration solutions, which will probably be somewhere in the $500 to $600 range. But I just wanted to be sure, especially with the price of everything going up.
So as some of the new people, we do water quality monitoring throughout the summer. I think it's weekly. Samantha's been going out collecting the samples with the Bay Constables. We provide the equipment. They provide the boat. Thank you to the town. And we've been doing that for I don't know how many years. So that's the first motion. So do I have a motion for up to $1,000 for supplies for a budget for the summer 2022 water quality monitoring.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. fine,
I'll make
Diane.
every motion.
Do I have a second? You can't second it.
I'll
Hang on,
second
this
it.
is-
It's Jill Monison from Thomaston seconding it.
Thank you, Jill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hang on. What's the difference between number 3 and number 4?
Number 3 is just for monitoring or just for calibration solutions, and we'll go forward whether or not we have a QUAP. 4 is for monitoring equipment in support of the water quality monitoring. And well, both could be reimbursed from DEC if we have an approved 2022 QUAP, which we likely will. But that's what the difference is. 3 is pretty much the calibration solutions. 4 is for equipment. And 3 would be QUAP or no QUAP. 4 would only be if we get the QUAP.
Okay, thank you for clarification.
Mhm.
So we have a motion and a second. Do we, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Abstain? That motion carries. Item number 4, this would be for additional equipment to supplement the water quality monitoring. Most of the water quality monitoring is done with the YSI meter. I know it had been fixed and it is somewhat finicky, but there are other things that we'd like to sample for as well and record. So that was the request for the additional equipment, a cooler, swing sampler, and a millimeter, sketchy disc, and a depth sounder.
Yeah, so can you see the screen where I have the table of how much everything costs? The first column is what I estimated for the DEC grant. The second column is I went back and actually went shopping for it. And so these are the likely prices that we would actually pay for it. So the 980 is based on like the maximum amount I put in the DEC grant. So that's how much we could get reimbursed for. So does that make sense? And so sampling is the YSI, which collects for dissolved oxygen, pH, salinity, and temperature of the water. So these additional things are the Bay Constables do what's called the dip sample of the surface water, and then the bacteria it gets transported back to Nassau County Department of Health, their laboratory for analysis. So there's a cooler to hold the samples is the top one. The second one is the Bay Constables used to use this, but they haven't. Right now, they just use their arm and dip it. This is, a little more scientific. It's an actual like a metal arm that you dip below the surface to collect your water quality sample. And you can have the cap on and then have the arm pull it off right below the surface. The handheld anemometer is just to get wind speed and direction. The Secchi disc, we have a small one, but for ocean sampling, they usually use a larger one. And it's a disc that has black and white quadrants on it, and you watch it until it disappears, and it gives a measure of how the turbidity of the water, how clear the water is, and how far light penetrates. And then a depth sounder, because when we were originally writing the grant, the boats, the Bay Constable used the depth sounder, was working on one, but not on another. So this is just, it can be used to make sure we don't run out of ground, but also just so we know the depth that we're sampling in. And then the bottom row is the totals.
So you're saying that the least we'll spend is 526 and the most we'll spend probably is 800.
Yeah, maybe a little over 800 with shipping.
Okay.
And the grant said 980.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
So
why
again-
they're-
And I think the only thing I was talking with Sarah earlier was, I don't know if we want to purchase these in now beforehand, or was there a concern if we don't get the QAP approved that we weren't going to use these this summer? Should we still get them and do it anyway?
that's up to the committee to decide. Well, I mean, we could still order them and get them anyway, and it looks pretty good that we're gonna get QAP is a quality assurance project plan. And DEC won't reimburse us anything unless it has this DEC approved QAP, quality assurance project plan.
So
It
it sounds
seems
like we have to
like-
use,
Yeah. Yeah.
Diane, if you don't make the motion, I will. This is Kevin.
go ahead, Kevin, I'll second it.
Well, before you do the question, do we want to do it either way or only if we get the QAP?
This is Kevin from the town of North Hempstead. We do it either way because it's a reimbursement grant.
Right.
So if we can't buy it, they won't pay for us.
Right.
Correct.
So
And
what does
it's
that
not a
mean?
big nut. It's not a
Okay.
big nut to carry.
Okay,
True.
Now I will go ahead and make the motion. If that's prudent, I'll go ahead and make the motion to purchase water quality equipment for a cap up to $980.
And
Right.
I'll second it.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, oppose? Abstain? If you oppose and you're muted, I can't hear you.
I'm
all right.
sorry, I was agreeing, not abstaining or objecting.
Okay, that's okay, that's okay. I just wanted to make the point across that if you are abstaining, I know most people mute, that I won't be able to hear you I see some people's lips moving, but I don't hear their voices, so. All right, so that motion carries.
I'm sorry, that was me. They were emptying my garbage. I was just saying thank you. Sorry.
That's
Hey,
okay.
Bob, this is Kevin from the town of North Hempstead. If you don't hear otherwise, assume it's a yay.
I am, but I just wanted to make that point across. All right, so that motion carries. Number five, I think we should have a little bit of a discussion about this before we make a vote on it, but Sarah, if you'd like to.
Okay, let's start with the last meeting. Kevin brought up, wait, let me back up even further. So last meeting, we discussed the placement of the bin. If you remember, it is the floating trash receptacle that will it'll suck up trash. Kind of like a pool filter. It brings water through and it catches trash and oil and some pretty small microplastics in this net. We've had trouble at Town Dock. The net got stolen. Also, it's on the south side of the dock, so it gets hit with a lot of wind, and that caused a lot of issues during a fall storm. So Kevin at the last meeting suggested, why don't we look into partnering with the marina? So I went to Nassau County Soil and Water Conservation District and asked them, because they're the ones that bought this. We got a grant from them, and so they purchased it, one of their small grants. So they said yes, that we could put it in a marina, since it is still providing a public service. They said it was okay to do that. So at Monday night's Waterfront Advisory Committee meeting, I brought it up, and we had somebody who jumped right at the bait, jumped right at it. So Capri, I don't know why it's not advancing. So Capri has offered to house this for us. So this is confusing because south is to the top of the map, and that's not usually how I look at maps. So this is an aerial image of their dock layout, and the red circle is where he is suggesting we put the C-bin. It would someplace that the public would see it because it's close to their fuel dock and pump out. I have some more questions for him, like, is this a place trash collects? I gave him a full list of what would be required of a marina who hosted this. Do you want me to go through that? I didn't think about that. That's like, this is the kind of floating dock we need. We need to have volunteer access, because one of the things we wanted to do with the CBIN is to see how much trash it collects and to weigh and measure it. So I haven't gone through, his name is David Duty, he's the manager of Capri Marina. So I haven't gone through the list line by line with him, but he seemed gung ho and really on board with hosting this for us. So that's the first part. I don't know if the vote, go ahead with that, but
I think part of it too is that we originally had it at the town dock, and then I think we've had problem after problem, and then with, I think the town dock was for COVID too, and then people stealing the nets, the fishermen. So this at least it would be protected. You'd have to pass by the administrative, I guess, office or whatever, sort of, and it is somewhat protected. My only concern was are we just collecting the garbage from the marina? Is it really
Yeah.
helping the whole bay? But I think in lack of having any experience doing any of it or any involvement, I think it's still somebody's volunteering to help and provide the electric and the access and everything else associated with it. So that's up for discussion. I guess most of their slips are all used for boats, so I guess it's kind of hard to, to figure that out. It may also be, they were thinking it's more of a central place for location. So I don't know if we have any other comments or questions, concerns.
I was at because I'm I run the Waterfront Advisory Committee for the town of North Hempstead. I have to say that it was so great to see how he was so excited about this, and he was so excited to help. What I'm hoping is going to happen with this, that he is going to talk about it, and he's going to get the other marinas to purchase it, and he will bring a positive spin to it. Garbage is all over our bay. So whoever has it, and if they're willing to do it, I think that's great. But I really hope from this, and I'm sure you saw this on Monday, Sarah, is I'm hoping that after this and after he talks about it at the Waterfront Advisory Committee, because there's a representative from each yacht club and there's also Tom's Points there, that I hope that they then say, you know what? We should get one of these. And it brings a positive spin to this CBIN.
Yeah, that's a good point. And to second that, the CBIN project, the people who started it, they say that's what they want, multiple CBINs in a bay. So that would be the hope. That, if he sees that it's not that much trouble to take care of, to run, it doesn't cost that much in electric, it'll catch on.
Right, and I think because we've sort of had between COVID and the problems with the nets and everything else, we have somebody who's, like Marianne just said, somebody who's volunteering to really seems interested in it. So I would say, again, we do it for the year, we get some data. If we don't like the location, we can move it next year, but at least we've got some data that we start doing. And as Marianne says, if it does carry on and promote something for other people to want to purchase, then more power to it.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, but I think with we're going back to the motion, obviously they're not going to give us everything. So I think we need a shed. I think we had a shed, but it's
Yeah, I'm here.
busted. And so I think, Sarah, if you want to talk about the supplies that we would need.
So the other things that we had purchased, actually Nassau County Soil and Water had purchased, it's a little plastic shed that, the top, or a deck box, the top lifts up and the front opens up, and we bought shelving to go in there and baskets to collect the trash base and sort it based on the day. And there was a scale in there. And so we would lock that up. And when volunteers came, they'd know the code and they could open it, and we'd have data sheets in there. So Mal says that shed got crushed by a branch during a storm. I don't know what the condition of the other objects in the shed are, but I know at the least we need to buy a shed. And 2 years ago it was $200. Now it's looking more like it's $300 to $350 for a shed. So that's why I put in for $400 plus $1,000 in support of the CBIN. So if we need to, replace the other objects that were in that shed. There's also, if we again have to buy a replacement filter, whether it gets like really filled up with hydrocarbon, I'm assuming it's not gonna get stolen again. Or if we need any random spare parts, actually, some of this I had thought about before we thought about bringing on a marina. So a marina can probably offer like nuts and bolts and that kind of thing. But it was like it's definitely an overestimate. And now I think about it, it's probably a very large overestimate for an extra $1,000 in support of the CBIN. But
So do you want to correct the number that you feel more comfortable with, or the board would feel more comfortable with?
Sarah, this is Kevin with the town of North Hempstead. Did you ask the marina operator if he wants this shed on his property, or he will provide information, provide something?
I haven't gotten that far. It was on the list of items. I said that we would need for marina. I said that we would need to be able to store a shed and have volunteer access. But I haven't sat down and gone with him through that line by line. But he read over it there at the WAC, didn't ask any questions. His email to me didn't ask any questions. So he just seemed even before this, when I just started talking about the CBIN project a couple years ago, he was very excited about it because they're a part of Safe Harbor, which is the collection of marinas. And Safe Harbor, in a couple of them in California, piloted or ran the initial testing for CBIN. So he was even familiar with CBINs before the start of the project.
I get it. I'm just wondering, you got to make sure he's interested in having this before we decide to go ahead and put it on his property. That's all.
Okay.
I just have a question. What do they do when they sort the garbage? I understand them weighing it, but what exactly are they sorting?
So there was actually Samantha might be able to talk to this. There was a Hofstra University.
You make it a little lower.
Oh, Netta, and I can't remember her last name because it's been years since we talked, but she and her students, including Samantha, came up with a methodology for what they were going to do, plus a list of what they were going to piece it out by. It's been a little while since I've looked at it, but
Recyclables?
it's based on so when we do the beach cleanups, we use these Ocean Conservancy data cards, and it's based on that, on what Ocean Conservancy is interested in seeing. And they're an international group that tracks trash collected in beach cleanups. So it's along that idea. They're also going to leave it in the shed to dry for a bit, and it was going to be weighed also once it was dry. Samantha, did you have anything to add?
I guess it's more for seeing what we find the most floating in the water. Like in the beach cleanups, we found mostly food wrappers and bottle caps. That's why I know we did a tally while they did the beach cleanup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we could know what we can target on land, what we need to reduce on land, or make people aware of. So that was the other ideas. Once we've been collecting this data, is we can put it into an educational sign or educational brochures, or do an educational program.
Yeah, I Jennifer, sorry I'm late. I think that what we found on the beach cleanups is pretty clear evidence of stormwater runoff. I mean, if all the cigarette butts we picked up were from boaters and beachgoers, they'd have died of cancer decades ago.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Kevin from the town of North Hempstead. If you're looking for a motion at this point, I'm going to provide that. Kevin Braun from the town of North Hempstead makes a motion to purchase a storage shed not to exceed $400, if necessary, to a spending limit of $1,000 for the CBIN. once again, I would say if necessary, once you confirm that the Capri Marina is willing to host the shed in addition to the sea bin.
Okay, and then what do we want to do about Capri Marina? Do we want to do we need a vote to let them use it? And two, would we want to do that vote now or at the next meeting after I've had more chance to talk to David about it? Oh, wait, and we need a first motion.
Well, I think the first motion stands. You have a limit. You have a spending if necessary. Then I'm going to go ahead and make an additional motion to go ahead and move the sea bin. If they're willing to take it and it works, we can evaluate it at the end of the run or the end of the year. But I'll make a motion to wait. I think you got to take a vote on the other motion first.
Why don't we take a motion on the moving it to Capri Marina first?
Oh, okay.
So we'll do that one first, I guess.
Well, Kevin already said the first motion.
We'll have him come back.
Oh, okay. You want to come back? All right.
It just seems chronologically, let's move it there and then approve it or disagree with it. And then if it's disagreed, then there's no need to make a motion for the second one. So I guess the first motion on the table is, I guess Kevin was saying, to move the sea bin to Capri West as per their interest in being a volunteer. Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Bob.
Nora, thank you.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Hearing none, that motion passes. Okay, so let's go back to the second motion with respect to equipment, a shed and a spending budget. But Sarah, did you feel like $1,000 was excessive, or did you want to modify that before we do that? Or so it's at $400 and $1,000 additional, so $1,400 total?
Yeah. Well, if we needed to buy a new filter for the sea bin over the summer, that's $450. And we don't usually meet, so it's kind of like adjusting.
It's a contingency budget in case there is something, so we don't lose the summer.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I think the motion that stood before is sort of as it reads: to purchase a storage shed not to exceed 400 and for a spending limit of $1,000 for volunteer efforts and supplies.
Yeah. Kevin said if necessary for
Yep.
both.
Okay, as if necessary. And again, that's if Capri is willing to come to the terms of what we're asking. So I have a motion on the floor from Kevin. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Diane.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? All right, so that motion carries too. Thank you. Moving right along. Next one up is the summer intern position. Looking for a budget for up to $3,000 for the summer of 2022 to assist with the water quality monitoring and the sea bin project. And any other ancillary tasks. That it is an hourly position, so it's not like a 40-hour per week thing. So any discussion, or does somebody want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion, Bob.
Okay. So Nora's made the motion to hire an intern for up to $3,000 for 2022 to assist
Yes.
with the water quality monitoring and sea bin
Yes.
project.
Yes, as we before.
Right, so do I have a second?
I'll second it. It's Jill from
Jill.
Village of Thomaston.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? See none. Abstain, abstentions? See none. Okay, that motion carries.
All right. And we'll put out another like job announcement. Or do we want to discuss Sam, or maybe at the next meeting? Discuss that.
We could do either one. I mean, I know, as I understand, Sam, you have a job now.
I do.
And what are you doing for this job?
The same thing, water quality in Manhasset Bay, Long Island Sound, and now New York, New Jersey Harbor. But I think I'm going to be doing some work in Suffolk County also with some pathogens.
So if this was something where we push this back out, would you have time to, if we were evaluating you, would you have time to do this with respect to your current job now?
I think I could. I would just have to talk to Evelyn about how my hours would work. I'd probably be like an hour or two in later, but I have to see when my new project, when those days are going to be during the week, just to make sure I can do both.
Okay, so I guess we'll take that under advisement, but you'll get back to Sarah and then we can sort of make our decision, and nothing against you or whatever, but we'd also have to well, work that out first. Obviously, you've had experience from this. You've parlayed that experience to get a job in this industry. So I commend you and congratulations.
I appreciate it.
And you've been a big help with us with respect to everything else. And your mom too. Was that your mom that came out for the beach cleanup too?
That was.
the power that the two of you had with that was phenomenal. So, so I guess I don't know if you want to. I don't know where we should go with that, Sarah.
I don't either. Sorry.
I guess we'll take that in consideration before the next meeting.
Say that again?
Maybe we'll just take that into consideration. Samantha could do a little research and then we can evaluate, her time commitment and some of it's going to be availability. So I don't know. A big bulk of the internship was the water quality sampling. And if the CBIN is in, again, if it's something that's going to preclude you from doing something, then obviously it may not work. We'd have to look for somebody else. But I think you should still put together.
This is Kevin from the town of North Hempstead. I'm going to warn the committee as in how long it actually takes to procure, get a contract, and get somebody on board. So I'm going to suggest that whatever decision is made shortly, because even if it is Samantha, we are going to have to rework the contract. So if you're looking to get it to the summer, you have to make a decision one way or the other relatively soon.
Make a decision for what? For the actual person or for the position?
For the person and the position.
Both.
Okay. Well, our next meeting is a joint meeting, so we might be able to have time a couple of minutes beforehand, like we've done a quick 10-minute meeting for anything that comes up. So our next meeting is what, May?
Well, currently it's April 28th, but we have to discuss that. That's further down the.
Sorry, April, right.
And can you put a motion out there that if Sam can do it, then we rehire her, and if she can't do it, then we go out and we look for someone new? Can't we put that out there?
Yeah, Diane, it's probably better to find out what Samantha wants to do first, and then Sarah can bring it before the committee at the next meeting.
I
mean, she can go out and still search for people.
I can talk to her next week. I think she's about to go on vacation soon, and I think we have a calm period next week where I can bring it up and see how often I'll be going out this summer for the new project. It's pretty. We're not sure about that just yet, but I can check and I'll let you know.
Okay.
Before then.
Okay. All right, so then table, and we move on to number 7.
Okay. Do you want to talk about that, Sarah?
Okay, yes, so at the beginning of this year, the State Department of Environmental Conservation, or DEC, released their draft 2022 stormwater permit. And I'm assuming everybody knows, but I'll just quickly say that all the municipalities who are members of the Manhasset Bay Protection Committee are subject to the permit. We're all currently operating under the 2015 permit. So this would be the new permit everyone would have to try and meet the expectations that they want, and the expectations were quite extensive. So the various protection committees, and I think it also included Friends of the Bay and the Setauket Harbor Task Force, put together actually 3 different comment letters to the state. The first one was about the third-party certification. So the Manhasset Bay Protection Committee is a third party who does work on behalf of the municipalities to fulfill the requirements of the MS4 permit. And their third-party certification put on our committee, if it stands, could be subject to a fine and jail time if one of the municipalities doesn't meet the requirements of the MS4. So there was a lot of questions of that. There's a lot of pushback on that. We got elected officials from this, from local level up to the state to send letters to DEC about just that one topic. The second comment letter was that we needed a longer comment period. They extended it a little bit, but not as far as we wanted. We wanted it to go until April because this was like a 170-page document plus a almost 50-page back sheet. And it was a lot to go through. And there were a lot of changes. And then the third comment letter was all of our comments compiled and the issues we had with the draft permit. It was multiple pages, I think over 11 pages long. I think I sent out copies of most of those, definitely the last one. And I'm wondering if I need like a retroactive motion because we were signatories and our logos were on those 3 letters. Or if it's fine as is.
We kind of discussed it through email, but if you want to go back and take a motion to approve those those 3 letters, I guess we can. Sort of an informal, it was sort of like timely and needed, and I think we polled the board and got comments or questions back, so I mean, it's already been sent out, so I don't know if we need a motion or not.
Yeah, you should make a motion retroactively, just saying that the committee is on board.
Okay, does somebody want to make that motion to make a motion that we retroactively approve this, the 3 letters that Sarah had co-signed in support of either comments or towards the draft MS4 permit, general permit?
Bob, I'll make that motion.
All right, Nora, do I have a second?
I'll second it. Dan Pucci.
Thanks, Dan. I was about to go to Diane, but the nonverbal motions I can't adhere to. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? That motion carries. Thank you. So let's get back to the comments went out. So that was the point. So I guess now that the state will have the time to review those comments and then potentially either decide whether they need to make another draft or another round of comments and another round of edits, or sometimes regulatorily they have to they'll make like the solid waste stuff. They ran out of time and they just issued it with whatever the best comments that they could sort of fix and put in. So we don't know where it's going to stand at this point, but I think the comment period is closing. So then the DEC will have
Closed
time.
on Tuesday, yes. And there is the fear that the DEC is just gonna push through the permit as is. I will keep you all up to date as I hear things.
All right, so next thing, tour of the Science Museum.
Yes. So Tom Lang has graciously offered us all a tour of the stormwater projects the Science Museum of Long Island put in with a grant from the Long Island Sound Futures Fund. The date of that tour is the morning of Saturday, April 9th. And I think there are 2 times we can meet. Tom, do you want to say any more?
Sure. To try to accommodate the group, we have decided to divide the tours in a back-to-back 10 to noon fashion. Those that can make 10 o'clock, great. Those who can't, there's an 11 o'clock tour, which will replicate the information. Tony Canetta and I, Tony is sort of our stormwater runoff guru, since that's what he did for about 48-year career with different municipalities in Westchester County as well as out here, working for a consultant. So we have a 3-page handout. First page, general overview. Second page, description of the location of the rain gardens, berms, bioswales, et cetera, and why they're there. And the last page is a pretty detailed list of the plants located in the different gardens and swales, And that was put together by Peggy Mouslow, who is our resident gardener, and she runs the Audubon Garden at the east end of the property by the visitors parking lot. We'll get together, as I said, at 10, and then at 11. There'll be a Q&A. We're looking forward to it. We are, at this point, probably about 14, 15 months into an 18-month program. We're sort of in the final turn regarding the installation of rain barrels and adapting and modifying the designs to the physical characteristics that we're faced with, and done a lot of work and a lot of thought has gone into it. And Harold Michaels is another integral part of the committee, and we'll all be there. Looking forward to meeting everybody on the 9th, and reach out to me directly with any questions, but it's pretty self-explanatory. We'll meet at the main building, which is called the Norwood House. And there's plenty of visitor parking, about 100 yards down the field on the other side of the community garden.
And Tom, is there any RSVP, or is there just come up and show up?
Just come up and show up. We had general understanding. The invitation was presented to Protection Committee as well as Hempstead Harbor. So that's why we broke it up into 2 tours, to try to accommodate people, and soccer games and all sorts of other things that get in the way. But we want to genuinely address A, the need for it, and B, how this has not only residential but commercial applications.
And last question, is this something that we can add to the MS4 as like a training opportunity?
I don't see why not. That'd be great.
All right.
So let me just interject that Tony Canetta was the lead on the original water quality improvement plan for Manhasset Bay.
Yes, he mentioned that to me about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Was that like 1996?
98, 99.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. All right, well, thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope to leave that there. All right, next topic, number 9. Sarah, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah,
Tours?
so, yeah, pre-COVID, we hosted an annual boat tour for elected officials in June. But obviously the first year, everything was shut down. And the second year, which was last year, we still felt uncomfortable. So I wanted to get a feeling from the committee if this is something we want to take up again, or if we want to wait a little longer. How are people feeling? Because I would have to come to you all with the numbers to be voted on at our next meeting.
Would this be the boat that we used the last time from Angler Adventures, I think?
Yes. Yeah, so it's
Okay.
got like a cabin, and there is some deck space, and there would be food inside that cabin.
I mean, it sounds all right to me. I don't know how the others feel.
I think as long as we limit the capacity, so it's not, cheek and jowl.
Okay.
I guess, yeah, if you could tell us what the capacity of the boat is, and then maybe
Well,
we could do like.
I can't remember.
This is Kevin from the town of North Hempstead. The capacity at this point doesn't matter. I think it's just going on basically the motion if we should go ahead and do it, and then Sarah can figure out who could be invited in and the capacity of the boat. I think it's important to get elected officials in the harbor to see the things. I think it's been productive in the past. And if you're looking for a motion to do so, I can offer that, because I think it's important to get the people out to see what exactly it is we're doing, what we're trying to protect, the different areas of the harbor.
I don't know necessarily if we need a motion yet, but I think it was more,
Yeah.
do we have an interest in it as a collectively as a group before Sarah did go through getting the budget numbers and everything else. But as long as there's a collective interest, I guess Sarah can then do her homework and then present at the next meeting with the budget.
Yeah, that was my plan.
I agree with Kevin as well, just to put my 2 cents in.
Yeah, I think it's been very valuable to bring people out on the boat, and the plus is that when they're on the boat, they can't get away from you.
Yeah.
Good audience.
Okay, so then the second item was, I'm trying to think of ways to get the public more engaged and involved. Something I realized is that, we don't get much interaction with people at tabling events, but we do get a lot of interaction at volunteer events. People are very excited to volunteer and help out at the beach cleanups, and they love that. So that's why we've expanded it. So I was trying to come up with other ideas, and one was to host a boat tour for the general public over the summer. It is something we could possibly partner with at the library, but before I put any effort into trying to, figure out what we're gonna do, I figured I would ask the committee what your thoughts were.
I was the docent on those library tours, usually left without a voice after 2 back-to-back tours. And the public loved it. I mean, there were a fair number of repeat people. And for many people, it's about the only way for them to get out on the water. And the tours were always overbooked. They had waiting lists.
How was that funded though, Jennifer? Was that just a free trip from
So-
the library?
No, it wasn't free. They, this was back with Matt Myron's boat, so I don't know what he was pricing at it, and it probably wasn't quite as much as, he was more around the $400 mark, and gas has gone up significantly since then. So I don't know what kind of a quote we would get. But they were charging initially sort of on the model that if it's free, they don't value it and people wouldn't show up. So they charged $5, and then I think they eventually raised it to 15 or 10 or 15. So it was a nominal amount of money.
But if that's being fronted by the people, then it's just a matter of then we would be sort of partnering with them to promote a Manhasset Bay tour.
Well, I think the library was picking up whatever the balance was, that the cost of what they were charging did not cover it.
Yeah.
But it did mean that people would show up.
Right, they've got some skin in the game.
Right, exactly.
I have a quick question regarding the tour itself. Is it concentrated in and around Port Harbor, the marinas, etc., or does it extend all the way south to the newly rebuilt culvert and the ever shifting sandbars?
Well, the former tour, it really depended on the tide and the weather. Sometimes we went out and went to, we occasionally went as far as Execution Rocks.
Okay.
I learned all about all those little islands out there. I can give you a whole spiel on that. Sometimes if it was high tide and we could get into the back of the bay, we would. But you've got to have high tide for that, as you know, Tom. So it was really dependent on what the conditions were.
Okay.
So I think that was part of why they would take the tour more than once, because you could get a completely different tour depending on where we went, and that, and it had to do, Matt was able to kind of be flexible about that.
Okay.
Yeah, the idea is to show as much of the bay as possible, not just right around town dock. So is this something I should look into and investigate?
I think if you get a cost from them and you kind of like, if the library was doing it and we can kind of put most of that cost onto the people, then it's not really a huge cost or any cost to us. I think we at least need some budgetary. I don't see why you can't at least explore the idea. And then if you have a volunteer who's going to go out there with them to kind of give the tour. I kind of agree. I always miss those tours with the library, but I was able to go with the village officials. I feel like for the first couple of years, the village official tours was kind of like the same people coming back, and some of them never even saw before. So then we had Tom DiNapoli come out with us at one time,
Mhm.
Our anniversary.
our anniversary, right? And then, but I think it's always a good time, and it's always getting new people out there, and there's always an influx of new people onto every board in the villages. So again, it's, as we're trying to promote the Bay and everything about it, I think it's.
Right.
it's
I
important
mean,
to have.
there's new town council people, we have a new assembly person, there's different people on the village boards, so, there's a whole bunch of people that have never been on that boat.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the elected official tour.
But I think the first point was, I think Sarah was looking
Yeah.
for, was there any sort of like pushback because of COVID or anything else, or are we sort of beyond that now?
I think we're beyond it.
I think most people are feeling like that. I mean, I'm still being careful, but I see a lot of people who aren't. And by the time that we're able to do this, we're either going to know whether we've given a second wave or not.
Right.
Right.
So I think, Sarah, I think the idea of getting the costs in the budget and kind of coming up with an idea of if it was a public one, how much it would cost per person and what kind of, how many people you would need to sort of cover it. What he feels comfortable taking out. Because I think the only problem that we would have is sort of how do we promote that?
Well, I think partnering with the library would make a ton of sense because they can promote it.
Oh, perfect.
They have a built-in, they know who came before.
Right, but again, I don't think at this point I think if you come up with some ideas and who we could partner with, and if they want to do it, and because they're going to generate some revenue for themselves too, why not?
Okay.
All right, so next thing on the agenda.
Okay. So let's talk about, we'll just do it in order, the new dates. Okay, so our May 19th meeting, we're not going to have in lieu of the Joint Protection Committee meeting on May 12th. But our April 28th meeting and our June 16th meeting conflict with town board meetings, which is an issue. So the June meeting is easy enough to move. We could switch it to June 9th. So that would be my recommendation. April 28th, changing that date is going to be an issue because the holiday and the kids being off takes up 2 Thursdays. So that leaves us with either the first Thursday, which would be 2 weeks from now, which is not going to be enough time for me to gather the information we need, or it's April 28th. And I think we really do need a meeting in a month. So do we keep it at the 28th and conflict with the town board meeting, or do we move to Wednesday for the?
What's the problem with the town board? Is there people here that won't be there?
I mean, if we're doing it on Zoom, it doesn't make any difference.
Right.
But there are new town council people who want to be more, involved in the committee. So it would preclude them and probably also their staff from being able to be on the call.
And also if we need Kevin Braun just by chance at a board meeting, and Michael calls him in, he would not be able to attend either.
Yeah.
And also I don't remember, but I believe you used to use our facility. So if you are going to ever go live and use our facility, you would not be able to use it on town board days.
Right.
I don't know if that was the case, or I don't remember that, but I know we used to use the chairman's,
Supervisors.
the supervisors.
Right, you can't use the supervisor's conference room if there's a town board meeting.
But we used to also use the law library too.
Right,
Yeah, we
which,
use the law library.
right, which I don't know if they're going to allow you to do that.
Right, but I think Sarah was also talking about the potential that the state legislature may still continue the Zoom meeting ability as state law, so.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's a separate conversation about if we want to start meeting in person. But currently, the governor has allowed us, we could still until sometime in April, she's extended it that we can still hold public meetings virtually. And I talked to, through email, someone from Janet. She comes also, but she couldn't make it tonight. Okay, yeah, the executive order so she is from Assemblywoman Gina Solity's office, who, so she covers Manhasset Bay area. So the executive order for holding virtual public meetings has been extended to April 15th. And then they're anticipating that the legislature will pass legislation before then that will allow the virtual meeting option to be permanent. And that's all she knew right now. So I don't know what exactly that means, but so two different groups, Hempstead Harbor Protection Committee is taking it one meeting at a time and deciding, if they, month to month, if they want to meet in person. The Long Island Sound Studies Citizens Advisory Committee, they're opting, they have 4 meetings per year. They're opting to do the winter months are going to be virtual. The summer meetings are going to be in person. It's another option. So April, I don't know, I heard.
I think the concern with the April one also, so to discount people who may not be able to attend or not, was that the May meeting is then sort of occupied by the joint meeting. So you don't really get a lot of time to talk about our business.
Yeah.
And then we go to June. So if we needed anything approved now, like the intern or this, that, whatever, we're not gonna be able to do that until June. Unless we have like that 5-10 minute meeting before we had the meeting the last time.
But I think we're gonna need a longer meeting than that. Yeah.
And this
So-
April 28th wasn't during the week off, was it?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
It's after. Yeah. So do we?
Why don't you, this is Kevin from the town of North Hempstead, why don't you maintain the May meeting?
Well,
'Cause then
that
it
one.
was 2 meetings in the same month.
Yeah, and that one also conflicts with the town board. So our April, May, and June meetings all conflicted with the town board. So we moved 2 meetings. Still just, keep it on the 28th and just be aware that,
If we don't have a quorum, I guess we can't meet.
yeah. So we keep the April meeting virtual and also on the 28th.
I don't have a problem. If we don't have a quorum, then we don't have a quorum, but.
But we don't know that yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Or risk not having one.
Mhm. The other, well, yeah, the other option would be to move it to Thursday, May 5th. But then we have another meeting a week later, the Joint Protection Committee meeting. So I don't know if we want to go to meetings 2 weeks in a row. And I don't think that conflicts with the town board meeting.
Any comments, concerns? Seems like Sarah and I are the only ones talking.
We're listening.
I know, but I don't need to listen. I need a little bit of help as to some ideas what you might want to do, or we just tell you what we're gonna do and then.
Sarah,
Well, that
just so you
doesn't
know,
seem
the
to be
town
any
board
consensus.
meeting is May 19th.
Okay,
You asked if it would conflict. No.
yeah, okay,
I thought I sent you the list of the meetings,
yes,
right? Okay.
yeah, and I just pulled it up. Yeah. I couldn't remember because some months you have 2 meetings per month and some months you only have 1, but yeah. Yeah, we're getting no talkers.
Yeah.
Well, it would make sense to keep the April meeting virtual.
Okay,
Because you probably get a higher attendance. I
yes,
can't answer for May and June. I don't know.
We'll have to see what the state says, but
okay.
Right.
All right, so we keep the main April meeting virtual. Do we also keep it on the 28th and lose town people? Just make sure we have a quorum.
I would say, as in lieu of not having one, I would say yes.
Right, I would agree.
Right. And if we don't have a quorum, then we'll just, as in past, we'll cancel it and try to figure something else out.
Okay,
Or maybe some things that we've done, if the group, the joint meetings at whatever, 7:30 to 9, sometimes we'll ask to meet at 7 o'clock. And if we finish in 5 minutes, we'll be done and then we'll rejoin at 7:30.
yeah,
We gotta play it by ear, but it's also up to the state. But I think the joint meeting isn't technically a a meeting where you need to be in person, because it's more of a, I don't think it's an official meeting, because it's the three getting together usually with the presentation. So it's more like a webinar as opposed to anybody's official meeting. So. All right, so why don't we do that for now?
Okay, that works. All right, so
Next on the agenda is we're buying something.
yes, so you can see over on the screen various their stand-up signs. So it had come up at the last meeting. Diane brought up, and it's true, that Friends of the Bay had these really nice pull out meetings or pull out signs or banners for their tabling events. And they're very nice and they're easy to set up. You can make them very colorful and eye-catching. So I reached out to it was the Cold Spring Harbor, Oyster Bay Cold Spring Harbor Protection Committee. They purchased 2 of these pull-up signs in 2013 for $450 each plus shipping. So I didn't put in for a motion, but I just wanted to make sure that that we still wanted to go this route. And you can see that the prices range, they range a lot.
Did that include a stand?
Yes, I believe.
Okay.
Well, like this one, you can swap out and do different banners, but we probably would set up like 2. I guess we could swap out if we're doing a beach cleanup. We could do an educational one. But anyway, that's a total other topic. But the other question was, what would we want to put on these banners? So at the last meeting, it was also decided that we would put out a survey asking what our priorities would be. So I've gotten 5 responses, but specific, one of the questions was, what are your top 3 educational topics? And the top 2 from the survey were septic awareness. And the second one was stormwater, specific about what falls on the ground ends up in Manhasset Bay. So trying to make sure people make that connection.
Right.
So 2 questions would be, this is still something we want to do. Do we want to do 1 or 2? And then what do we want to have on our banners?
Excuse me, sorry, this is Kevin with the town of Northampton. Why don't you provide us with some ideas? Because I think the committee would be a lot interested in what you're proposing and then see what we can change and decide on.
Okay.
I mean, just in general, I like the idea. It's like we did the beach cleanup and, you know, I think all the elected officials kind of get the credit for Manhasset Bay and there's no sort of, hey, if we had one of these, we pulled it up and said Manhasset Bay and everybody's getting our picture there with the paper or whatever, and it kind of promotes us for $165 or $200, I think. And it's something that we could bring to other things because as attending many of these Harbor Fests and other events, we have a thing we put on a table, but sometimes it's, in the old days, we had a little plaque and people are like, who are you? Then they see who you are, then they walk away quickly. And but if they have like a big, huge thing, and I think it's just good for us. So I would definitely be in favor of at least having one.
Okay.
But if I agree with Kevin, I think we're all sort of just sitting here trying to figure out what to put on it. If you come up with some sort of sketches or something.
Well, I think our logo would be, you know, the logo is definite. And then maybe a few things that we do each year, not, you know, such as you know, beach cleanup and septic teaching, and you don't have to have everything listed. And I think you could just use the same banner at every event.
Right.
I don't think you need to swap it in, swap it out.
Okay. Okay, this is good. Getting good ideas.
All right, so now we're up to updates and reminders and municipal updates. And do we want to let we've had some guests here waiting for a long time. I don't know if they wanted to present anything or talk about anything, or if they wanted to just listening. Baxter Pond.
Merely observing. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right, so I guess we'll keep moving along. So MS4 reporting period ended March 9th. So I think, have you sent the summary to all the villages yet or not yet?
Yes, that went out on yesterday, March
Okay.
23rd. So I sent it to the contacts that I have for the MS4 report. So if it was supposed to go to you and you didn't get it, send me an email.
And that's basically a list of all the things we did so that the villages can take credit for the MS4 permit for like usually parts 1 and part 2. So
Yeah.
2022 dues, I know we're getting some in.
Yes, we've gotten we've gotten a lot in. I think there's only 3 villages left. I mean, some of them, their financial years start at different times, so that's not really surprising. And then the county, but I know Dan's working on getting it. It's usually the end of the year when we get the county dues, but so that's where we stand. We've gotten the town and most of the villages dues in. Okay. I think Green Tree Foundation, I had prepared a little presentation. Do you want me to finish with the rest of the updates and then circle back to it, or
How long is the presentation?
I'm hoping only 5 minutes. I didn't actually practice it.
Why don't you come back to it then? Water quality improvement plan, we'll get just knock
Oh,
the
okay.
things off.
So yeah, there's movement on that. We have a signed contract. I'm pretty sure it's been signed by everybody in the town. It's definitely been signed by Nelson Pope and Voorhees. And I had a first phone call with 2 people from Nelson Pope and Voorhees. One of them is going to be the main contact for that project. So it's very exciting. It's finally moving. So they're getting started on, they're preparing, it's like task 6, 7, and 8 of our work plan. So they're going to start sketching out the public outreach plan. They're going to start coming up with the vision statement, and they're going to do those 2 things. So when we have the next kickoff meeting or the next meeting, we'll have something to react to. So we're looking at 1 to 2 months until we have one of our first products in hands and a task done. So it's very exciting.
And should we invite them to one of the meetings just to say hello and they could pop in, pop out?
We could definitely do that. Yeah, probably our next one.
If they can, yeah. If there's
Okay.
some sort of work product and they're actually starting, then yeah. Just introduce themselves and,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
all right, let's line app.
Hang on for a second. Hang on. Sarah, do me a favor. From this point forward, make sure I'm included with all communications with the contractor.
Okay.
Please.
Okay.
Line app,
I don't have any update from January.
what is line app?
Long Island Nitrogen Action Plan. It was started a couple years ago with realizing that we have a nitrogen problem on the Long Island in both our freshwater drinking water and our marine waters, obviously. The nitrogen pollution leads to a lot of things, leads to algae blooms, which then they die and then the bacteria eating up
Dissolves oxygen.
reduces dissolved oxygen. Nitrogen causes degradation of marsh habitat, which is important for protection from storms. And then nitrogen in our drinking water can cause health problems too. So
No updates.
I think my most recent update will be is that they're working, so there's a solute transport work group, and they have is doing some work on nitrogen travel times through groundwater. And then there's also LINAP got funding from the Long Island Sound Study. I know Jennifer Wilson Pines was on the meeting they had, but they had like a kickoff meeting about a project they're doing to look at the abatements. They only have data for Suffolk County, so They're not looking at anything in Nassau County, but the hope is that it would be applicable to us. They're looking at if they change the way water moves in a bay, if it would help reduce nitrogen in the bay. If that makes sense. Has nothing to do with, other benefits of like dredging or anything. It's specifically and only looking at how if you dredged or put in a culvert, how it would affect the nitrogen levels in the bay.
Sarah, this is Kevin from the town again. I believe Dan Fucci's still on the call, so I mean he's running the operations for Nassau County. So if you're looking for an update, maybe he can provide a further one.
That's for the 9-element plan, Kevin, which I believe is the next item.
Sorry, I got confused, buddy. Sorry.
No problem.
It might, I don't know if I have the 9-element plan on here, but the 9-element plan, it's confusing because the 9-element plan came out of the lineup process.
That is correct. The 9-element plan is a nitrogen reduction strategy where we have as you guys know, a stakeholder group that helped and assist put together the elements within this nitrogen reduction strategy. And just a quick update is that there should be a draft final 9-element plan in place, I would say by mid to late April, where all those elements will be combined by Dr. Gobler's group in Stony Brook. And then that draft final will be shared with the stakeholders, and we are, looking to finalize that as quick as possible. In terms of other LINAP initiatives on the, you can go to the Nassau County government website under Public Works. Perhaps maybe tomorrow or next week, I'll send out an email with a link where the county did put up their LINAP strategies, which include 9-element. It includes the Nassau County septic program, on the South Shore, of course, the Bay Park, the Cedar Creek conveyance project, and some other initiatives that we're working on. And these are all components of LINAP. So, I'll try to send the link out next week, and people can see what Nassau County LINAP initiatives and where they are at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Storm drain markers.
So that should be, I'm hoping we will have those in hand by the end of April. So it looks like we've gotten the approval for the sole source. So I'm hoping to have a better update in April.
Okay. Monthly snapshots.
So this is something I just started this year, and I only have done 1 month so far for January, because at the end of the day, I'm not even sure what all I did. So it's helpful for me too, and also to keep track of what's happening for the MS4 report. So I just started these. Hopefully you can see this. So this was the one I sent out in January, and then I'll send out a February, March one at the beginning of April. But it just goes over the different meetings I was at. Also because it's a lot to cover during one of these meetings. So this seemed like a better way to get at it than taking up all the time during the meeting. So it talks about how the MS4 draft permit came out, talks about the LINAP updates I just gave, what's happening with the Waterfront Advisory Committee, what's happening with our quality assurance plan. And then, back in January, we didn't have any movement on our water quality plan, but we move it now, and then Nassau 9-element plan, and I'll cover whatever else has come up. But
I like it.
I'll be on
And
the
I think it's something that hopefully you can have before the next meeting.
Yes, yeah, there'll be another one for the next meeting. Part of it is to try and not take up as much time during these meetings. There's a lot to cover, but do you want me to go through this one in depth? Like read through it?
No, I think we kind of just talked about everything.
Okay, yeah.
But I think as opposed to everybody just comes on and we hear about it, we can kind of read about what you've been doing and then kind of get an understanding. And then if something comes up during that time frame, we can also call or question you before the meeting actually occurs.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
like it.
okay, thank you.
All right, so Green Tree Foundation,
Okay, the other update is Long Island Sound Futures Fund RFP is open with a May 19th deadline. It was not my intention to apply for anything because we're just starting the water quality improvement plan. And then the other update I had before we talk about Green Tree was that the Port Washington Library just announced they're having an Earth Day event the afternoon of April 24th, 2 to 4 p.m. at Sunset Park. You can help out if you want to, though. I mean, it's a short event. I can probably handle it myself. Also just announced, or that I just heard of this week, Harbor Fest is back in person. That's all day on Sunday, June 5th, and I could definitely use help for that one. So I'll have to send around a sign-up sheet. If anybody wants to help out. If Diane's in the state on June 5th.
June 5th?
Yeah,
I'll check my calendar. If I'm there, I'll help out.
thank you. Okay.
Sarah, this is Kevin. This is Kevin from the town of North Hempstead. One thing occurred to me in our discussions today, which I'm not sure the committee is privy to yet, but in regards to the Long Island Sound Futures Fund, is it possible to ask for funding for a water quality monitoring? Me and you discussed it briefly today or the other day before the meeting. That is something that other committees have gone ahead and put applications in for, and it seems like this may be something that would be very fundable.
That's a good point. I could reach out because I have no idea how Hempstead Harbor Protection Committee has been so successful getting that funding. But I could reach out if the committee's interested. I hadn't even thought of that.
free money.
So for the benefit of the committee, Sarah, if you don't mind, I can give a brief synopsis of what we talked about. Basically, the committee is looking for somebody besides the town to participate and help with water quality monitoring. And it was possible that Sarah made a connection with a committee that was able to, or a group that was able to do the water sampling for a fee and provide us the same kind of work that the town does by allowing the town to work on other things and maybe having this committee on. There is a cost associated with it. We talked briefly about it, and it seems like it's a possibility of it happening. And if we can receive funds and not use the funds from the internal savings of the committee, then it's possible it could be a good grant application to go forward with getting it paid for.
That's something I should look into. I think they're doing a pre-proposal right now. And I could reach out to Lynn and Aaron. Yes, them.
What was the deadline for that?
For pre-proposals, I'm not sure. The deadline for the Futures Fund is May 19th. So about
If
2
it
months.
works, I'd say we should do something.
Okay.
It's at least just a suggestion for Sarah to look into. I know it's pretty quick, but the pre-nomination really isn't much more than a paragraph. At least it used to be just more than a paragraph, or a one-page thing. But it's still, I just wanted to bring it to the attention of Sarah that this may be an item that we can go ahead and get funded through the Long Island Sound Futures Fund.
So Kevin, a question for you is, so if we do this, you're saying it's a pre-proposal. So does the state come back and say, yes, you qualify? It sounds like it's a good proposal to qualify for a grant, or no, that we wouldn't think about funding it before you waste the time and effort to prepare a grant?
Yeah, that's the whole.
That's it.
Yeah.
I agree with Kevin then.
Okay.
But just so the committee knows that the Long Island Sound Futures funds water quality monitoring for other committees. So I have a hard time believing they're going to say no. unless it's too short of a time frame, which I don't think it will be. But I think it's worth looking into further.
I agree.
And I can do that. Okay. All right, do you want to do municipal updates or should I go into this quickly?
Sorry, trying to find my mute. In for a dollar. I don't know.
Okay, let me try and do this quickly then. I'll try and cover it quickly. All right, so I had a meeting with Green Tree Foundation back in November. So just quickly, they're a philanthropic foundation. It was started in the 1980s by Mrs. Whitney. If you want more background, go to Wikipedia. There's not much about it online actually, but they have hosted a meeting for the UN, and they also they're trying to be environmentally responsible in the way they manage their property, and they have some stormwater issues. That's why they reached out to me, and they've actually been reaching out to a lot of people. So I promised that I would talk to you all about it. And they also do a summer ecology workshop for teachers. And they are a member of the Long Island Sound Funders Collaborative, which is closely linked to the Long Island Sound Futures Fund. So it's a grant, it's another grant opportunity. Also, what I thought was pretty spectacular is the Shelter Rock of Shelter Rock Road fame is on their property. And I actually got to see it and stand next to it. So that's me next to the shelter. I was very excited about that.
Good for you.
Thanks. So this is an aerial view from MapQuest. It's not that great, but so this, at the top left, if you kept going to the top left, you'd run into the shallow back end of Manhasset Bay. So you can see that there's like a baseball diamond there. I'm pretty sure that's all Manhasset Valley Park, which feeds into Manhasset Bay where it's silting in. And then that's fed into by this Whitney Pond, which is now owned by the town. And then Whitney Pond is fed into by a creek that runs through this wooded area. And this is all the Green Tree Foundation's properties, the 400 acres here, and it's beautiful. So they so over here up to this top right, this road is Shelter Rock Road, and there it seems like there's probably stormwater starting somewhere before Shelter Rock Road, which feeds into this creek. But the stormwater that comes through this property is there's a lot of it and it comes through very fast. So they showed me some damage. I'm pretty sure it was from Hurricane Ida. So Whitney Pond has two streams that feed into it. There are issues there with it's being sedimentation, and the stream bank is also eroding. There's invasives. I kind of covered all this already. There's also in the sediment, there's a lot of chemicals, chlordane and other things in it, and heavy metals. I don't actually remember off the top of my head, but it's contaminated sediment too. So that also adds to the issues. And Whitney Pond was included in our original water quality improvement plan. Though it didn't get too in detail, but it did recommend some stormwater projects to help with these issues. So this was, I took a tour of the property. You can't really see it very well. Let's see if this, I did a zoom in. Okay, yeah. So at the very top of this picture, there's that fencing that's not the permanent fencing.
Snow fence.
What was that?
The snow fence?
Yes. So that's Shelter Rock Road. So I'm
Right.
pretty sure it was one of the big storms last fall. Did a bunch of damage here. You can see it's moved concrete. But this actually is not really paying it tribute. The water that came through was very powerful, and it's moved big pieces of concrete. So it's pretty impressive. And this is the actual creek that's in the woods. Nassau County has an easement, and then I don't know all the specific very details of it, but there's an easement and the county is going to do some work in this area. But they just wanted to show, if you zoom in, you can see the stormwater has broken up the concrete, which was lining the stream bed, and moved big chunks of it around. So Green Tree just wanted to make sure we knew about their stormwater issues and try and help in any way we can, which I'm mostly thinking is probably just letters of support. I talked to Dan, and the county has a design plan that's about more than 10 years old, but back 10 years ago we lost the whole economy was hurting, so money wasn't there to implement it, but it's coming back up.
Yeah, let me just interject here. What we're talking about with the county's assistance is from the creek bed itself, from Shelter Rock Road westward through. Not all the county doesn't have anything to do with Whitney Pond. Sorry, Kevin, any longer. But we're working from. Yeah. From Shelter Rock Road, the county has jurisdiction over the creek bed, maybe part way through the Green Tree property. So about 12 years ago, there was a design that was done to do some stream bank restoration along this creek bed, both hard structures and soft biotechnical approaches. As Sarah had said, this creek bed is extremely eroded. It was an old, it was pretty much a concrete system with wing walls, and a base was concrete, and it's all busted up now. It almost looks like Stonehenge in some parts, where the concrete is literally running up and down now, as opposed to it's vertical, as opposed to how it was designed, obviously with wing walls and whatnot. So the project, as Sarah said, we had some fiscal difficulties and some other issues. So anyway, it's been resurrected. And what's going to happen is the design is going to be re-looked at, because it's been 12 years. So obviously there's going to be changes and adjustments to the design. So the county's in a procurement process to, I believe, bring on LKMA to re-look at the design. So that's essentially where that is. There is another component, as Sarah was mentioning in the first photo. The section closest to Shelter Rock Road was, there was some damage before, but Ida really created a tremendous washout up in that area. That section is more of a priority right now to be done. I believe it's from Shelter Rock Road 400 feet west. In that area would be done probably as a phase 1 before any of the other are part of the stream, because it's more of a concern with the erosion closer to the roadway. So that's essentially the county's what we're looking to do in the near future.
Yes. Okay. So there's also been an interest by outside groups. So mainly CTUC, but they've also gotten Save the Sound, and I don't remember where Sarah Schaefer Brown is located, or why this isn't going. But so they're working on, they're doing a pre-proposal to the Long Island Sound Futures Fund to work on a sub-watershed plan for that area to address the stormwater concerns. I'm not sure if Sarah's on the call. But I'm
here.
Okay. You would have more details. I don't know. Is this just on the Green Tree property that you're looking at for a sub-watershed plan? Or would it be the entire, is it like the entire Whitney Creek? Wait, Dan?
Yeah. So CTUC Environmental Association has had a long interest in trying to do something on the creek. And I believe they want to do a sub-watershed assessment of the entire Whitney Creek system. and just trying to figure out the best ways that this can kind of fit into the ongoing efforts that the county and then the town of North Hempstead is also going to be embarking on. So I'm trying to work with CTUC and Sarah on trying to frame that project proposal right now.
This is Kevin with, sorry, this is Kevin with the town of North Hempstead. I will say officially that the town has looked into this project and believes that the town should be the lead on its own properties and the watershed in dealing with this project, looking at it as not a sub-watershed, but a complete watershed view of this. And CTUC has their own perspective on this, but the town should be taking a lead on this project, and this project should be subsequent to the water quality improvement plan that is being conducted by Manhasset Bay Protection Committee. So we will see how we proceed with this. But once again, CTUC is not the lead organization, or should not be the lead organization, and has not received permission from the town to go ahead and do the watershed study. The town has not signed on to having this outside organization take a lead on town property and moving forward.
Okay. So, well, my question to the committee was going to be if we would do a letter of support. It seems like it might be a little premature since we're embarking on a water quality improvement plan. But we wouldn't get into the level of detail that they would be looking for. So I don't think there would be any overlap between our project and theirs. And if it's premature, I feel like that's up to the funders to decide. But I don't know, what do you think? Would we be able to supply a letter of support if they decide to go forward with the Futures Funds?
This is Kevin for the town. I think it's premature to provide a letter of support, knowing that they're usurping the town at this point. The town is part of the committee, and as I tried to say a little bit earlier, the committee is doing a water quality improvement plan. For the benefit of the committee, the stage or the sequence of events is you do a water quality improvement plan, you see what you need to improve, then you do a watershed plan that comes out of the water quality improvement plan that says, okay, we realize Manhasset Valley and Whitney Pond Park Complex is a major issue in delivering pollutants to Manhasset Bay. So then again, from the water quality improvement plan, you do the watershed study for this area. From that watershed study area, you get recommendations. Okay, so now we know pollutants are running off the stream that comes from the hospitals, and sediment and providing or inundating the pond, Whitney Pond, with sediments, and then you go about addressing that. So in the correct sequence, it would come after the water quality improvement plan, and it would be spearheaded by the town with the support of Manhasset Bay Protection Committee, not an outside organization.
Thanks, Kevin. This is Sarah Schaefer Brown again. Thanks for explaining that. Yeah, I think that it's my understanding CTUC just has really wanted to see something be done to address the stormwater and some of the really low sill dams that are in that area as well. So I mean, Sarah and Kevin, would you be open to maybe discussing this outside of this meeting and maybe bring in CTUC just so we can discuss it directly with CTUC? I know they have a lot more history and background on this whole project, and I don't want to, speak for them on this.
Yeah, I'd be interested in having a conversation with you, Sarah, and you, Sarah, too. I don't know if CTUC at this point should be involved in that. We can discuss it first ourselves. Once again, CTUC works for Green Tree or gets a stipend from Green Tree or is connected to Green Tree, so they have their own agenda. But we can discuss it further to see how to proceed. They want to get rid of dams. That's fine. Removal of dams should be part of a larger feasibility study. But we can discuss it internally first, but I don't know if the town or my commissioner at this point is ready to have a meeting with them. We've already had a meeting with them in the past, and we've explained to them how we would want to proceed. But we are more than happy to discuss it with you further, and maybe sentiments have changed.
Okay, fantastic.
I have one quick question. Sarah Schaefer Brown, who do you represent? I don't know if did I miss you on the introductions?
So I'm sorry, I joined late, and yeah, so my name is Sarah Schaefer Brown. I work for New York Seed Grant, and I am the Sustainable and Resilient Communities Extension Professional in Nassau County. It's a very long title, but essentially it means I'm working with communities in Nassau County along the Long Island Sound coast to help move along sustainability and resilience projects. I've attended the past 2 meetings, so I apologize for joining late.
No, thank you for.
Yeah.
And if this is going in before the public and somebody's looking, they're going to say, who's Sarah? What we said before is we're posting this to YouTube, so I just want to at least have a reference as to who you are.
No problem.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that.
That's okay. Thank you.
This is Kevin with the town of North Hempstead again. Just for the benefit of the committee again, and Jennifer could actually speak more to it because she has more of the history. But the Whitney estate and Miss Whitney is a direct descendant of Eli Whitney, the inventor of the cotton gin. So I think that provides a little bit more history. So that's where they got all that money and all that land from.
Well, they actually assembled that out of, I think 5 or 6 different farms, that estate to create it. And then pieces of it have been sold or given off. The North Shore Hospital was formerly part of the state. The Unitarian Church on Shelter Rock was formerly part of the estate. Kevin, I don't know how long ago it was that the town adopted a new zoning for that site, where basically they made it a conference center of 400 acres and just left a little bit over so that the water district could put in a well, I believe. Do you remember that? It was a while ago.
It's got to be over 15 years. I'm not exactly sure what their zoning has changed for that, but I don't know if that has any bearing on any particular study, but I know the zoning's changed a long time ago.
Yeah. So it's uniquely zoned within the town, and that was to prevent it from, being turned into a giant McMansion project like so many of the other estates around.
I also think it's designated as a deep well recharge area, a deep water or a deep aquifer recharge area.
Yeah, it is, but that hasn't stopped any of the other estates from being turned into condo sites.
And let me ask one more question. Is this open to the public or is this private?
It's private.
Okay, thank you.
If you're going up Community Drive, before you get to the hospital, there's a very discreet white gate.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
I mean, I've been on the property set quite a few times because one of the people who works there leads walks for our chapter. So we've gotten permission to have walks. He does their surveys and the grassland restoration work that they're engaged in.
Surveys for birds?
Surveys for birds, other things. I mean, they've done a massive grassland restoration on the property, which is becoming quite successful.
In addition, Bob, if you try to get on the property when the diplomats are there, you'll probably get arrested and thrown in jail.
I'm not, just curious. I always drive by it and always see it on the map as just a big open space. So
yeah, it's got a lot of different habitat. I mean, as you can imagine, in 400 acres, there's There's open fields that they've restored with natural grasses. There's woodlands. There's the creek corridor. So it's quite spectacular.
Yeah, so 400 acres would be 3,200 houses for me.
Yeah.
So I'm on an eighth of an acre, so.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a question. This is for Dan. I mean, this is a little bit off of similar. The stream corridor that runs parallel to the Port Washington train line, sort of behind Merino Avenue in that area, it suffered very similar damage. I was down there doing a birding survey and big chunks of it have completely collapsed and fallen in. So I don't know who has responsibility for that. It's probably got a county easement on it, Dan.
Probably.
Yeah, it's in pretty bad shape. I mean, there were whole sections where the concrete had just collapsed completely. There was an area that used to have a bridge that's gone.
I mean, I know we have maintenance crews that go in there and keep up with that parcel, that area.
They would have to have heavy equipment. I mean, the steam bank is seriously eroded. I have photos if you'd like them.
No, I'm aware. I'm aware. I'll put it on my list of things to do, as some know it's
right,
exhaustive
because that
list these days. But it also it depends on what's. I mean, if there's wing walls there that are eroding and it's not impacting specific properties or a danger, it may not, with conditions as they are, be a priority to deal with
Well,
right now.
that
It's something to look
stream,
at.
that stream feeds into Leeds Pond.
Are there ponds before that though? Or is it right in
Just
front of
go through the golf course. I don't know what condition they're in, but there was heavy sedimentation. I mean, like a good foot or more of sediment in the bottom of that creek bed than there used to be. So just so you're aware, you might want to take a look.
All right. So we're getting towards the end.
Yeah. Were there any municipal updates from anyone?
This is Kevin from the town of North Hempstead. I do not have an update, but I want to congratulate and thank Diane Sheehan for her time on this committee.
Thank you, Kevin.
How long have you been on?
You've been a pleasure to work with.
Thank you.
And I heard just recently that you're looking to retire and move out. And I just want to say thank you for all your help. And regardless, you dug in your heels, you learned, and it was pretty awesome to have you here. You were definitely a fixture that came in and definitely solidified the committee when it was, wavering a bit. So I wanted to thank you personally. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and I wish you the best in retirement. And I overheard something about Naples. My aunt and uncle have a place there, so maybe I'll see you.
Oh, listen, give me a call. We're in Naples and we plan on, being here a little more than 6 months a year. And eventually, maybe this year, next year, moving out of Manhasset.
Wow.
So thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. It was great. I was on it for 6 years. I've loved mostly every minute of it.
Thank you for being honest.
Yes.
Great
Thank you,
group
and thank
of
you, Kevin, for
people.
that very nice sentiment. I was going to say something similar.
Thank you.
I think, as Kevin said, is like some people come in and come out. You, like Kevin said, you dug your heels in and you kind of, learned what had to be done, brought back what you needed to bring back to your village, bringing part of the Plandums back into the play. And thank you.
Thank you very much. And it was a pleasure meeting all of you and working with you.
So.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're
Diane.
welcome to come on the boat at any time.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right. So we have a couple things still left. And what else is on there? The last couple things, because then I actually want to ask the group if we can go to executive session for maybe 2 minutes.
Forgot about that. Just upcoming meetings, April 28th to 9th, Protection Committee meeting, May 12th. We've got 2 beach cleanups this spring. Next one is a week from, the first one's a week from Sunday at Manor Haven on April 3rd. And then May 7th is a Saturday at Baywalk Park. And we already talked about the tour of the Science Museum.
And also June 5th is Harbor Fest. and Earth Day.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to welcome Mayor-elect Randall Rosenbaum is here. I probably pronounced his name wrong. He's here for Claire, who couldn't make it tonight, but
Thank you.
welcome and look forward to working with you.
Nice to be
You
here.
got stuck with the long meeting, sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah,
I think that's why Claire bailed out.
it's like, oh, that's a big agenda. I can't make it.
The thing I love about the town was like Kevin saying, "Up, we're not paying the cleaning people. We got to get the hell out of here." So Zoom, unfortunately, you have the paid subscription, so we can't get kicked off after 40 minutes. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to keep making the rest of it quick though. All right, so Sarah, can I ask you to make me the host?
Yes.
Make me the host, and then
And
can
then
I ask you
have
to
leave.
jump off?
Yeah, okay.
And
Alright.
Sarah Schaefer Brown, I don't think you need to stay on anymore. Does this
Yeah,
still?
I'll leave.
We're just going to executive session for 2 minutes. But does this
Yeah,
part have
Bob,
to be?
only the people that are in the committee should remain or should be allowed to remain on the,
Right.
executive
I think that Sarah's the only one who's not. Oh, Samantha should jump off too then.
Okay, all
So
right.
I guess that's one last question before you, Kevin, does this still have to be recorded or executive sessions recorded or not?
No, they're not.
No, it's not recorded.
All right, so then can you stop the recording?
Yeah,
And then
let me-
we'll jump off.
oh. I'm gonna pause recording.
All right, so we just came back from a pause from executive session. And Sarah, the board has discussed, I guess, a raise you haven't had since 2018 and recognized the letter that you had sent to me on October 22nd, 2021. And we are in agreement to honor the request for $4. So the minutes should reflect the fact that you have, your new rate will be $41 as of today. And we'll go from there. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much for taking the time for me.
We appreciate what you do, Sarah.
Yes.
Thank you, really.
Thank you very much for all your hard work.
And I wanted to say, as I brought it up, that I had no idea how the board was going to react. I got a unanimous, as far as I could tell, a unanimous, whoa, yes, definitely. So thank you. And so I just wanted to convey that as like a, congratulations, good job, thank you. So
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
anything, I think that was kind of it for the rest of the meeting. So unless anybody has any last words, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Actually, no, sorry. Can I ask?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Sorry, I'm gonna ask Diane to make the motion to adjourn forever.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion to adjourn.
All right, thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank
Di-
you, everyone.
And Diane, thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Oh,
Thank
if
you,
you,
Diane.
listen, I'm still in the Manhasset area, but if you're ever coming down to Naples or you want to see us, give me a call.
Yeah, I still remember the days up in like Saratoga and in Schuylkill. I'm like, wait, is that Diane? In the
Sure
the crew
was.
days. So
Thank you.
good luck,
Thank you.
good luck.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I guess I have the
Bye.
power, so. Good night.
Oh, no, I think I
Right.
took it back.
Oh, all right.
All right. Well, good night, everybody.